Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Bradbury and I am so excited to do my first live video here on my new business page for Simply Home McKinney. I am a professional organizer here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the business is brand new, but I've been a professional organizer for, I started my first business, it's been 15, 20 years ago now. Has it been that long? Oh my gosh. That shows how old I am. So I'm really, really excited to have my new business up and running. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about the pantry. So here's my pantry behind me. There it is. In all its glory. So I just want to talk to you, give you some tips on how to organize your pantry. So if you're watching this video, if you have any questions for me about organizing or especially about pantries or about any type of organizing, make sure you reach out to me. I'm here to help you. Organizing is a lifelong process, you guys. It is not something that you're going to get done just one and done. Okay. It's a forever thing where you do a little bit at a time. So if you're overwhelmed, if you're scared, if you feel like I don't know what to do, the best thing to do is to just get started. Okay. So today I'm going to give you tips on pantry specific things, but really this procedure, these steps that I'm going to talk to you about can be used for any space in your home that you're wanting to get under control. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do with a pantry is you're going to take everything out. Okay. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, and it is. It does take some time to do a pantry the right way. If you don't have time to do everything all at one time, pick a section, do it in sections, and do that one section at a time and break it up. But in that one section, take everything out, okay? So the idea is if you're gonna do the whole pantry at one time, take everything out, and while you're pulling it out, you're gonna sort it, okay? So you wanna sort in two categories that make sense. Put all your baking things together, put all your rice together, your pastas together, so on and so forth. Check your expiration dates, throw things out that are bad as you're going along. Anything that when you look at it, you're like, oh, my family doesn't like this. Like, I got a couple of cans of this particular vegetable. We tried it once. We don't like it. If it's not expired, donate it to your local food pantry, okay? So set you a little thing aside for ones that you want to donate. Toss that expired stuff and then sort into your categories. And it's going to be all over your kitchen table and your island and your counters and everywhere, right? It's going to be everywhere. But it's so worth it, I promise, okay? So then your next step is you're going to measure your pantry. Measure it really, really good, because you want to get containers that are going to fit your space. You can see a picture on Instagram. You can look at mine and go, ooh, I really like that kind of canister or that container that she has, but it won't fit on your shelf. So you want to make sure you measure the depth of your shelves, measure how high you have in between your shelves, measure the length, measure everything. Measure, and then decide what's your budget for this. What do you want to spend on this? I recommend starting with what you got. Use the shelves that are there, use containers that you have, and go with it. But if you're ready to just blow the budget, then go for it, right? Knock all the shelving down, get new shelving. Reach out to me if you have questions about that. Lots of advice for you on how to completely redo the shelves. But most of us, we're gonna stick with the existing structure with what we got, right? So make sure you measure it really good. Go around, look for the things that you have, okay? Get your baskets, your bins, see how they fit in the space. And then if you want to, you can go and purchase some containers. When you're purchasing your containers, start at like the dollar store, okay? Start at the dollar store, move your way up, go to Walmart and Target, hit the container store. But you want to check, you want to keep your budget in check, okay? So don't go over budget going crazy with your containers, because trust me, you can go crazy with your containers. But the dollar store is actually a really phenomenal place to start, because each container is super, super cheap. And when you're doing a pantry, you need a lot of containers, because the key to success in a pantry is that everything needs to be in a container. As crazy as that sounds, everything needs a home. So whether you're using cereal boxes, shoe boxes, plastic containers, bins, baskets, everything, you really want everything in a container to keep those groups together, Okay, so when you get your containers, then I want you to put all your containers in first. So no food in the containers and then put them in. You want to put your containers on your space first because you want to see which baskets are going to fit next to each other and how many are going to fit on a shelf. And then once you get all of your containers in, then you can start taking your groups and putting them in containers. So your largest category that you have, right? If you're a carb person, maybe pasta is your biggest category. You want to take that and find your largest container and make sure that your pasta goes into your largest container, and so on and so forth. So again, put your containers in first and then fill them with your food, because you really have to organize for the space that you have, not for the items that you have, if that makes sense, because the space is finite, right? It's like, this is the space that we have. So you've got to get those containers in there. Then once you get the containers in there, you can decide what to put in each container, if that makes sense. One little side note on that, you do want to decide if you want to do the canister route or if you are all about more of the basket idea. So I'm kind of a combo, okay? So for things that we use not as frequently. So my pantry staples, obviously I use all of these things, but I buy large amounts of them. And so for me, putting my flours and sugars and oats and, what else do I have in canisters? Cereal. I've got my rice, popcorn kernels, chocolate chips, things like that. I love putting those in canisters. That way I can see how much I have of it. And this is not a weekly thing that I'm having to replace. Okay, for things like pasta, I do not put my pasta in canisters because we eat a lot of pasta. And so for me, it's just easier to just throw them into a bin. So that I don't have to replace them each time. For example, for chips, you'll see a lot of people will put chips in canisters. For me, it works better to put the chips in a bin because we always get different types. So I guess that's kind of the way to describe it. If you get the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, like my brown rice, my jasmine rice, my oats, my brown sugar, my white sugar, things like that, it's always the same thing. But pasta, I'm always getting a different style, shape. I have gluten-free and I have regular. And so the canisters wasn't a good idea for us on that. So just decide if you're, and canisters take a little bit more effort, right? So canisters look beautiful and they are very functional because you can see how much you have, but it just takes a little bit more effort when you get home from the store of putting things away if you have everything in canisters. So think canister versus basket. I am a huge believer in clear plastic things because I am very visual. I really like to be able to see everything that's in my bins and my containers and my canisters. I like to be able to see it so that I know how much I have of things. For some people, having everything all plastic clear is just like too much visual because when they look at it, they're like, oh, that's too much. So it's okay to have baskets and bins. I would have things without lids so that it's easier to get everything in there. But you decide if you want clear. Clear, again, is just much more functional in my opinion because you can see everything that's in there. But if it bothers you being able to see everything, then you can have, hey Tina, you can have solid bins as well. Okay, so back to our steps, right? So we pulled everything out, we sorted it, we got rid of the expired stuff, we measured our cabinets, we get our containers, we put the containers in first, right, to get everything to fit on the shelves just so. Then you're gonna take those categories that you've sorted of all your food, put them into the containers, right? And then you're gonna label, you guys. So again, everything needs a home, everything needs a label, because a label is going to stop someone, hopefully, kids especially, husbands, it's going to stop people from putting the wrong thing in to a wrong category, okay? Labels are super, super helpful. And then each week when you go to the grocery store, do a minor maintenance, right? Just go through, see if anybody stuck something in the wrong place, kind of clean things up a little bit. When you get home from the grocery store, I pull my little cracker things out of the box. Let me turn it here so you can see the little side door. This is all of our little snacky things. So I take everything out of the box and put them in the thing. My son was on a kick, desperate to try Twinkies. He's never had them before. So I just take them out of the box. Again, granola bars come out of the box and they're in the little baskets. This is seasonings up here that are a little different from what I have in my seasoning drawer. I've got my oatmeal, again, out of the box. So taking things out of the box and putting them in the containers is an extra step when you get back from the grocery store. So if that's not realistic for you, you can leave things in the box and then just put those boxes in the baskets like I showed you with my pasta, right? And then I do recommend once a quarter or once a month. For me, it's once a quarter because we do a pretty good job of keeping it pretty neat. That I set it on my calendar that it goes off and it's time to do an update. And it actually was yesterday that I did the update. So I was gonna show you, we had a couple of things that expired. So I pulled those out because those expired. Here's another expired one. There was a thing of random birthday straws in there. No idea how that got in there, so I'm gonna put that with my birthday supplies. And I had a couple of little organizer things that I was using that was not working. So these were things that just was not working for me in my space. So now I have some cool little organizers that I'll put somewhere else in my house, but they just weren't working. So I took the things off of those and I put them in to bins that just made more sense for us. So once a quarter, again, is when I recommend doing it, just going in and cleaning things up. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I love doing pantries. Pantry is not the first thing I would recommend. If you haven't organized ever before, I wouldn't start with a pantry. Pantry is definitely up there in the level of stress that it causes to do. It's totally worth it, you guys. Worth it, worth it, worth it. But it is quite a bit of work because it's just one of those things where the really best way to do it is pulling everything out and sorting. But if you break it down into little steps and focus on each step at a time, then it really is very manageable. So again, hope you guys are having a great week. I hope that this was helpful, and reach out to me if you have questions, okay? Thanks so much. Bye-bye.